Welcome, one and all, to the world of Corsaria. A world that is more sea than it is land. And what land that is settled comes with a slew of its own problems. On one side, you have the continent of Findara, a continent of steel and strength, surrounded entirely by its mighty walls and defended by its powerful military commanders. And on the other side, you have Trithoris, a continent consumed with trade and economy, a place where coin and resource is king, making a breeding ground for a cruel and greedy upper class and an unseemly underground network of crime. If you have Fey blood inside your veins, you might find a home in the elven enclave of Elfalor, but a continent that doesn't allow anybody but their own kind can come with issues of its own. And then there are the continents that few dare to find residence on. The Barrowlands, a massive expanse of cemeteries, abandoned ruins of former cities, and the stench of evil and undeath permeating the entire continent. There's the frozen continent of Isoldriel, nothing but a frozen, inhospitable mountain of epic proportions, where you're more likely to find yourself the latest meal of frost giants than a cozy place to live. The Sundered Kiln, a shell of its former glory, the continent literally ripping apart from a cataclysmic eruption of its volcano. And now, only rocky atolls and spits of solidified magma and volcanic rock remain. So what is one to do with all of these options? Why? Of course, you take up a career in piracy and travel to meet the Pirate King himself at the Maw. The Maw, free and independent from the politics of the settled continents, a floating city, an amalgamation of wrecked pirate ships, derelict warships, driftwood, scrap metal, and whatever else these privateers could collect. A floating city where they can live among the quarters and decks of the retrofitted ships, with the permission of the King of Pirates himself, Jameson Stormbreaker. Almost got through it.
Almost did.
Anchoring his former warship, the Iron Dread, in the deep ocean waters. Jameson had a dream of a city of pirates, where you could not just live a comfortable and exciting life, but give people a choice to take off the shackles of their former citizenship and become a part of his pirate crew. From then on, pirates began binding, lashing, tying together, welding, or using whatever methods available to build their city piece by piece, ship by ship, and wreckage by wreckage, until they became the biggest collective of privateers in the land. But Jameson, or the boss, as he is called by his crew, isn't satisfied with just being king of pirates. Indeed, his ambitions exceed the slice of civilization he has carved out, and he needs pirates with cunning, pirates with grit, pirates that can get the job done. Fortunately for him, he is about to find a humble keelboat floating through the waters. A keelboat with a group of upstart pirates. Some may be seeking fame, some fortune, or to others, simply goals and ambitions. But most importantly, the drive to get done what the Pirate King needs them to do. We're going to start this by rolling roll d6. As we zoom in, yeah, what's up?
This is great. I'm excited to be playing.
As we zoom in onto this humble keelboat, the first member that we focus on is a human, seemingly ill-dressed for the life of pirating, and perhaps more befitting a member of academia. Matt, could you please go ahead and describe Canon for us?
Yes.
Yep. Cannon is a tall, somewhat lanky young man with wavy brown hair. He wears a black wool trench coat that he leaves behind. Upon further inspection, it appears to be reinforced with a studded leather lining. Underneath this trench coat, he's wearing a wool sweater vest, along with a white dress shirt underneath that has a red tie. A brown belt holds up loose linen leggings that are tucked into knee-high brown leather boots. These garments seem almost as tired as he is.
And
on his face sets a
sorry.
pair of round spectacles. So, now I'm done.
Okay. Cannon, as you feel the shifts and flows of this vessel underneath you, you reach inside of your clothing to feel for a familiar item, your puzzle box. And as your fingers brush against it and kind of manipulate it, not really actively focusing on solving it, kind of just playing around with it. Remember a time before you were sailing aboard this vessel, back to when you were a student, and we cut away from the ship to a magnificent lecture hall. Dozens of bright, hardworking students are furiously taking notes as they listen on intently to the lecture at hand. The individual at the front of this lecture hall is writing schematics, equations, and general notes kind of eclectically. It's almost like there's not a real structure to them, at least not to most of the eyes in this lecture hall. You see writing these notes upon this immense arcane board, only using an arcane focus, is Professor Birhana Glitterpocket. She is an older, very tan gnome woman. She has graying hair, little frizzes here and there that are tied up real tight on top of her head in this cute little bun with bits of hair kind of poking out. Tying the bun is this little kind of band with a gemstone that seems to kind of crackle with latent magical energy. She has these big kind of like these big like bottle glasses that kind of switch back and forth as she manipulates a little lever on the side of it, kind of like magnifying lenses. So she has about like 3 or 4 sets of these lenses, and right now they're on the kind of main setting, just so because she's not examining anything really closely right now. And she wears a kind of almost like looks like a lab coat, but it's ill-fitting. It seems much too big for her. She's never really been concerned about looks because she's much too busy with her research and with her lectures. And we go into her lecture as she's conducting class. Yes, students. And today we will begin, I think, with the basics. Now, who here can tell me the components necessary for the mending spell? Cannon, you see someone raise their hand, and he's like, Professor, is it, it's charcoal, right? Ah, close, but incorrect. Does anybody else have a guess? Maybe, Cannon.
Would that be 2 lodestones?
Very well done, Cannon. As expected. And you hear you hear a mixture of reactions from the rest of the students. Obviously, some are like, I didn't know that, that's good to know. And some are just like, teacher's pet. The course goes on for a while as she begins to explain that mending is one of the most important spells we have here in Ednir. And you may think that's silly, but all of the progress we've made here came from a single use of the mending spell. Maybe not the spell itself built Ednir and all of our advancements, but the idea that mending could be something more, that we could take magic and we could imbue it into mechanisms, technology, a harmony of the two, to make everything better, to usher in a new age of Corsaria. And her lecture continues on until the end. Finally, ending, she calls out, right, students, well, you have your homework assignments. I expect them on my desk by tomorrow morning. Cannon, could you please stay afterwards, if you don't mind?
Of course.
And as the rest of your classmates begin to kind of file out, she walks up to you and kind of beams and says, I just want to congratulate you on how hard you've been studying and all that you've been applying yourself to. Truly, you're one of my best students. Tell me, Cannon, what is your goal in life? Do you have any ambitions?
Well, I would like to continue making things, and I want to make life better. It's like I've been thinking of this new system for transporting water to areas that need it, irrigation systems. But there's also, well, there's been some work. Professor Dinglehopper, I believe, is working on a flying machine at this moment.
Oh, that Dinglehopper.
Of some kind.
I mean, if pirate ships weren't bad enough, just imagine pirate airships. I mean, ridiculous.
Yes, it would be quite a menace.
But I did peg you for an inventor. That's quite a noble goal. And she kind of nods and walks over to her desk. You see her kind of shuffling through desks, and she's like, oh, blast it, where did I put it? Finally opening one of them, and then producing a puzzle box. Nothing terribly ornate. It seems to be made of brass. It has several different etchings on it. Very much not completed right now. Fully just super jumbled right now. She starts playing around with it in her hands and goes, Cannon, are you familiar at all with the stories on the creation of Corsaria? Specifically, the hearts of the world.
I've heard the bedtime tales of such objects. They exist.
And you see as she's actually go ahead and make a perception check if you would like.
Yeah. That'll be a 5.
5. It looks like she is while she's playing with the puzzle box as she's talking. You don't really quite pick up on it with a 5, but she is like manipulating the like bits and pieces very deftly. She continues, the hearts of the world. Yes, possibly bedtime stories, but there are some theory crafters out there that think, well, that might be how the world was actually created. And if those were to actually exist somewhere out in the world, I mean, the potentials of such artifacts, well, that could mean not just an advancement in arcanotech, perhaps even a renaissance. I mean, a single mending spell created Ednir, but an artifact could usher in a technological age for all of Corsaria. And she kind of stops playing with the puzzle box. But potential such as that, well, it also carries risks. There's the potential for something terrible. Sorry, I'm rambling. Thank you so much for humoring me. You're free to head to your next class now.
Thank you, Professor Glitterpocket. And Kanan heads off.
We fade from that scene to later on, to when you are in bed, Kanan, and you are woken up suddenly to a rapid and rhythmic knocking at your door. Can't simulate knocking, but
Kanan shoots up out of bed, just kind of groggily, and stumbles to his door, opening it without even checking to see who it is.
And the second you open your door, Professor Glitterpocket rushes in, closing the door behind her. Ken, so sorry to barge in like this. It's such a late time. I'm terribly sorry. And go ahead and make an insight check if you'd like.
Yeah.
Is this first roll?
No, you already made a perception check.
Oh, that's
Made a
great.
perception check.
Out of
Nat
5.
1 on the perception check.
Oh, that's foreboding. That's not great.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was trying to give you a reroll. First roll.
I got a 15 on this insight check.
With that insight check, she seems troubled. You can tell even with these enormous glasses on her eyes, you can tell that there are the bags that are normally under her eyes from not sleeping just because she's working are deeper and more pronounced. Seems like she might not have been eating either. Seems a little shaky. And then she's just like, again, so sorry, terribly sorry. You're one of my top pupils. Probably my top pupil. Don't let anybody let you know I said that, because I think favoritism is probably not great as a professor. But you are. It's objectively true. Some things have happened with my research that hasn't necessarily received the reception that I would have liked from some higher-ups. I don't have a great amount of time, but I have to say this. You're not just a great student or a great protege. I think you have the potential to be one of the greatest artificers that this world has ever seen. And she clasps your hands, and you feel the puzzle box that she has placed in there, and she closes your hands on it. And she says, when you are ready, you will be able to solve this puzzle box. And you will have more answers once you are able to open it. When the time is ready, of course. And when you open up this puzzle box, you will figure out why this is happening and what has to happen going forward has to happen. She gives you a little hug. And of course, she's a gnome, so she's just like, she has to kind of like, oh, could you bend down a little bit?
Oh, yes. Yes.
She gets on her tiptoes, squeezes you with a nice little hug. And then she goes, if you'll excuse me, I need to leave now. And she quickly leaves your room. Cutting away from that, a couple days pass canon, and classes with Professor Glitterpocket have been halted indefinitely at the Academy of Arcanotech. And as you were walking around the city, you have discovered the reason why. You are now seeing these kind of like boards that seem to produce like, they're minor illusion boards, so they produce kind of an image of like, you know, local events going on in Ednure, like advertisements. You see almost all of them now are plastered with the face of Professor Glitterpocket. Wanted! Message flying across screens and posters, offering a titanic amount of gold for information leading to her capture. And you see listed below a picture of her, wanted for high treason and matters of national security. You try to go about your life as a student for a little while longer, until one day you come home from classes to your dorm room. You open the door, and it's in shambles. Everything is torn apart. And I assume you have the puzzle box on your person.
Yeah, it never leaves his person.
Cannon, you can probably surmise that several of these events are connected. And you also surmise that it is probably not safe for you here in Ednure anymore. What does Cannon do?
Cannon is going to quickly grab a few sets of clothing and just some of the bare essentials from his dorm room, from what he can find with everything scattered around like that. He's going to hastily scribble a note saying not to worry about him, but that he can't say where he's going, just that he has to leave on urgent business, and to tell his father to be careful and to not worry about him as well. And he's going to go next door and slide it under the door of his best friend, Rabinet. That's Rabinet.
You slide the note under his door, and you make to depart. And back to the present. With another roll. Moving away from Cannon, we cut to the youngest member of this ragtag crew, a carefree smile glued to his face. Adam, can you go ahead and describe Matt for us, and what you might be currently doing on the ship, even though I have a good idea of what you're going to say.
So, Mac's just a fun-loving little 16-year-old kid. No clue how he got where he is. Orphaned at a young age, like most of his peers. Grew up found his way fixing boats on the dock. Mac has some sandy blonde hair that's pretty scraggly, not cut very short because he doesn't really take care of himself. He's got a nice white flowing blouse and some very, very ragged, like ship hand brown pants. Okay boots, because he understands that you got to keep your feet protected. You know, otherwise
Safety
you're
first.
like, yeah, right.
Don't want Fantasy OSHA to come checking up.
But so Mac grew up as a shipwright. He was asked to join this because of his impeccable shipmanship. He's got a really, really nice hammer for building boats. But besides that, Mac's probably spending his time smiling away, enjoying the nice fresh sea air, his favorite smell. He's probably currently working on building a crow's nest for this very, very shitty boat we are on right now.
And as you start working on your crow's nest for your shitty boat, you take in the sea air and you begin to daydream about the improbable series of events that brought you here. And we go back in time to when Mac first got the urge for sailing and adventure in his blood. Your memories, of course, unclear and opaque about your upbringing, much like the clouds that appear before a storm. Although the one thing that was always clear in your head ever since you were young was your drive for adventure. And what finally triggered that was when you awoke one morning on the shore of an unknown island. You initially struggled to breathe, coughing up salt water onto the sand, realizing that more than likely you were in a storm, a real bad one that washed you out to sea and brought you here to this island. But as you recover, you begin to feel this innate, it's almost primal drive in you, and it just says, find a vessel and sail across the ocean. Cutting away again. Short time after this, you spend a little bit of time on this deserted island, mostly because you can't go anywhere. But you find after a couple days, you see a ship. Looks like it's sailing pretty close by. What would you like to do?
Well, that's pretty exciting if I haven't seen anything for the last couple days on this island. So I'm gonna run over as far as I can in open sea and start jumping up and down with my hands like this and shout, "Hey! Hey you! Hey! Hey! I'm over here! Hey! 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 Hey!"
And you attempt to yell out and flail your body wildly, but from where you're at, you can't really tell if you're getting any reaction from the ship. Do you try to get closer?
I'm gonna find myself a camp here, a fire,
What's up?
and like plummeting this. Have I made myself like a little camp here with like a little fire pit?
As much as you can do. Your fire is probably pretty smoldered out by this point. There's not a lot of vegetation on this land to actually get a consistent or keep a consistent fire.
Then yeah, I'm gonna run out. Try to find the best, most visible spot in the ship. And I'll keep yelling. I might keep yelling as I run. Probably got some pretty good breath capacity being such a... hey! I'm over here! Hey! Help! Help! I'll keep trying to just sprint anywhere on the island that I could get to feel like I'm visible.
Yeah, you keep sprinting, yelling, waving your hands, and you don't really understand how it happened, but you find the ship getting closer to you now. And you feel elated, you feel overjoyed, and you realize that you are waist deep in the water right now. without you realizing that you've gone into the water itself. But you don't feel like you've never learned how to swim, but it kind of just like you just kind of get it. Like it just kind of makes sense to you. And then you start hearing the faint sounds of the crew. They're like, "What the hell is that? A kid? Kid, what are you doing out in the water?"
I don't know. I just woke up on this island. A strange voice told me to sail across the sea. Will you take me?
You see. Actually, make a perception check.
Oh, first roll. Perception. 19.
They exchange very confused looks. And then with a 19, you also see one of them like do this, and you're pretty sure he, like, looking at his lips, you're pretty sure you can make out him saying "ocean madness." But the ship gets closer to you, and they let you board. And as you're finally on top of the deck, you see this older man, kind of like salt and pepper beard. He's a little bit on the heavier side, this human male, with kind of like black graying hair, long down to probably to his shoulders. Has this tricorn hat on. He's like, "Kid, what are you doing out here all by yourself in the middle of nowhere?"
Well, I kind of just woke up here. I have a feeling that I crashed a ship in the middle of the ocean and I washed up, but I'm not really sure. But how does their ship look? Do they have a nice ship?
Their ship's nice.
Their ship's nice?
Nice.
Okay, cool. So yeah, thanks for coming to rescue me. I can't really pay you to take me anywhere, but I'm really good at fixing boats. Like really good. So I don't know if you just want to let me tag along for a little bit. I'll pay my way.
You think I'm gonna hire some goddamn kid that's just on an island to fix my ship? No, I'm gonna take you to the first civilized island I can see. I'm gonna drop your ass off there. How about that,
wow.
kid, huh?
Wow, that sounds great. Thanks. That'd be fantastic. That's awesome. Thank you.
Your positivity is unnerving to me.
Yeah. My parents never told me not to be positive because I don't really have parents, but I guess I haven't been told not to do a lot of things. Wow, sir, you got a really nice boat here. What marina was it built in?
That's enough questions. Just sit on the deck. I'm gonna go back to my quarters.
Look at those knots over there. How many times did you thread?
He's fully gonna walk away from you, but you do hear one of the crew members be like, "Captain Mike usually doesn't even pick up stragglers. Like, surprised he actually let the kid stay on the boat instead of just throwing his ass off." And Mac, you're not aware of it yet, but this is the first time that you've cast Charm Person.
Nice.
You did not spend a lot of time on this ship, and but you did manage to, through perhaps your just childlike wonder and charisma, or perhaps some innate magic that you aren't aware you have, sailors here and there relented and allowed you to begin working on boats here and there, fixing parts, honestly with ease that took several accomplished shipwrights months to repair. Eventually, they docked back in Trithoris and dropped you off. And you, as you're looking around the docks where you're at, you hear the distant sound of thunder in your head. And you know it to be in your head because you look around and there are no storm clouds for miles. But one thing sticks in your head, and it feels similar to the voice that you heard all that time ago. And it's telling you to, well, it's telling you to find a vessel and sail across the ocean. And you see a ship. You're not sure what the ship's purpose is, but it looks like right now the crew is not paying too much attention to who is possibly going on board, possibly trying to stow away. What do you do?
Does the boat look like it needs a lot of work?
It's a shitty boat.
So I'm gonna stow myself away on the boat with intent to repair that boat, because once I'm on the boat, they can't kick me off the boat. So I really want to fix that boat. That boat pissed me off. I saw that boat, and it made me so mad that I didn't even think. I just hopped in a burlap sack, and I'm waiting.
This goes, this continues for some time. Mac shuffling around between ships of varying states of quantity until he found himself upon the Maw doing maintenance on the bilge plank, where he was eventually put under the tutelage, be it forced or non-forced, of one Fisher Shores. And the rest, it would seem, is history. And cutting back to the present, even now, Mac, you hear that distant thunder in your head, and it acts as a divining rod for your adventuring, and you know that you're moving in the right direction. Speaking of Fisher, we cut back to the rest of the ship and the crew, and we turn our attention to a man in his 30s. I felt like it had a good flow to it. So I'm rolling with it. Cutting back to the ship and its crew, we turn our attention to a man in his 30s, with hair and skin weathered by sun and ocean salt. Drake, can you go ahead and describe Fisher to us? And where would Fisher be positioned within the boat right now?
If Mac is up in the crow's nest, Fisher is directly below the mast.
We haven't put the crow's nest up. It doesn't have one yet. I'm building it tomorrow.
You're building
Yep.
it on the floor. Okay.
Yep.
Then Fisher is over at the helm of the ship. Basically yelling over to Mac to stop building the crow's nest and come do his actual fucking job. But Fisher is a tall man in his early 30s, mid-ish 30s, like 34. And he has light brown hair that's been sun bleached from just years of being on the decks of ships. That comes down to about his shoulders, but is pretty much always tied back into kind of a half ponytail, half kind of down sort of thing. He is wearing a probably a little out of season. I believe it's a little warmer here than the shores that he, or the waters that he typically sails on. But he's wearing a woolen, like, naval officer's coat that is gray with maroon, like, trim, and has an intricate layer of, like, leather patching that is probably covering up some repairs, but also doubles as armoring that's covering the front, back, and kind of shoulders with this like leather patchwork armor. And he has like a white collarless button-up shirt that's kind of mostly buttoned up, but again, it's warm, wearing a jacket. Dark pants that are also well worn, and then boots very similar to Max, worn but well taken care of, and something that he's probably tried to convince Mac to do multiple times. He has nails in the bottom of the soles of his shoes to give him better grip in rainy weather. It doesn't do anything. It's just fun note. And has a couple of swords just slung onto a belt, not an actual holster, and an intricate line work tattoo poking out of his shirt, and he is just, God damn it, kid, get the fuck over here and start either helping me scrape these mollusks off the bottom of the boat, or get back on the wheel. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be the one who's driving the ship right now.
Sir, Captain, sir, I don't think you understand. I don't think you get it, that if I don't build this right now and we don't see someone coming, your shit ass of a boat is just gonna sink. It's just gonna be gone. You're not gonna have a boat. If you can't see people coming to destroy your boat, you're not gonna have a boat.
It's not, first of all, it's not my boat. Second of all, you can do that at night when one of them other people doesn't have to sleep and can do something.
Do you know how much you yell at me when I hammer at night? Do you know that?
And your argument is cut short by an errant wave that crashes a little harder than usual against the ship. And as the sea spray comes up around the party and the boat is rocked, Fisher, you are reminded of your past. And we cut away and travel back in time to a much younger, much more well-kept Fisher. In fact, Fisher is as prim as proper as he can be, because it's your graduation, Fisher.
Oh boy.
You are standing tall and proud along many other fresh graduates standing out on a massive platform within the Fendaran capital of Steel March. You look out, you see crowds that have gathered and are clapping. Nothing too raucous. Everybody's it's a very polite graduation clap. And you see stepping out onto this main podium is, well, it's the man himself. You see the Grand Marshal of Fendara, flanked by the 4 captains of Fendara. You see Grand Marshal Renault Magath and the 4 captains, Zunrus Heavyhorn, Imara of the Crimson Wings, Broomdane Blackhammer, and Zeranod Smirk. These are, for a fresh graduate like yourself, this is like meeting a celebrity in Fendara.
Deal save me, I whispered a person next to me.
It's just
fucking great name.
Do you see the size of Heavyhorn's, his horns?
Oh shit.
They're like tree trunks. Jesus Christ.
They look heavy as hell.
I don't know who that is. You see the Grand Marshal give his address, picking graduation day to land on the same day as Fendara's most important holiday, the Fendaran Day of Supremacy, when Fendara was formed. You stand proudly next to the person you were talking with. He's like, "Oh, my name's Eugene, by the way."
Oh, oh shit! I thought I was talking to somebody else. My bad.
And you feel somebody shoulder you on your other side, and you see next to you is your half brother Vasa, and he looks at you. He's
We're
like,
not related at all by blood. We are stepbrothers.
stepbrother. Sorry, your stepbrother Vasa, and he
Blood of half-brothers.
he gives you a shoulder, and he's like, would you shut the hell up?
I'm sorry. I thought I was talking to you.
How did you confuse me for Eugene?
I could have sworn you were on my right side when we came in. I wasn't paying attention. I was shell shocked.
Goes by name. Goes by last. Never mind.
We have the same last name.
Hey. All jokes aside, and he waits for an opportunity where like the superior officers are kind of like not looking roughly in your general direction, and he puts a soft fist over your heart as kind of a show of brotherly bond. He's like, "I'm proud of you. Glad you're graduating with me."
I do the same to him, and I was like, I sincerely do not think that either one of us could have if we did not have the other one here. So I love you, and I do the same thing.
I love you too. And Eugene pipes up, "I love you guys too."
Shut the fuck up, Eugene.
All right, I'm sorry.
I wouldn't have talked to you if I didn't think you were on my left.
I'll shut up now. We fast forward from this really heartfelt scene to a scene that's a little bit more bitter. A couple days after these emotions turn sour, we cut to the two brothers outside having a heated argument. And Vasa, you feel Vasa shove you, not super hard, but like with a little bit of emphasis. He's like, "What are you talking about? Why in the world do you want to join on with the Legion?"
It's been the plan the whole goddamn time. What are you talking about? Join the Legion? That we have been studying in order to be lieutenants in the Legion. Was that not?
Was always studying to be in the Fortress Arms.
The hell? No, we talked about sailing together, about seeing the world. No, you can't do that when you're stuck guarding a wall.
Yeah, we'd be stuck guarding a wall. We'd also be able to take care of our many siblings at the same time. Who's going to be there to watch after them?
We haven't been there to watch after them in the first place because we've been studying in order to continue to do this and to protect them and to find them.
How you think you're going to protect them if you go out on a ship and you just die to some Trethorian scum?
Dying to some you won't let that happen. That's how.
Yeah, I won't
And
let
you know
that
how
happen.
I know that you won't die is I won't let that happen either. So we will go and we will make a name for ourselves and we will serve and do what we need to do and then we can come back.
He puts a hand on your shoulder, and then he does the same gesture that he did at your graduation before rearing back and clocking you in the face. Yeah, I know that it's not gonna happen, because I'm not gonna be sailing with you. If you want to go commit suicide, that's your right. But I'm gonna protect the family. And that's all I have to say to you. And your brother walks in the opposite direction. We fast forward a little over a year. Fisher, You made good on your goals. You're in the Legion now. And you and the other lieutenants, as your ship finds purchase on land, you're beginning to make landfall on the fortified island with your small detachment of troops. You see all of you lieutenants are poring over the plans, or maybe not poring over, but you're above deck, you're on the deck, kind of going over the order of operations once you actually set foot. And you see kind of a not short, but shorter than usual Findaran, one of your I mean, he's got to be a private. He looks fresh out of the academy. He comes up to you, is this human boy, probably about your age when you graduated academy, maybe a little younger. He's got this really nice blonde hair that's shaved on the sides and only has kind of like a high and tight. And got these wide blue eyes. He's like, Lieutenant Fisher. Sorry, sir. I got really nervous because I went up and I wanted to say how proud I am to be serving under you, and I forgot everything that I was gonna say. My name is Billy Boyer. Private Billy Boyer. But I like, sometimes they call me Will. My parents called me William.
Billy, speak please.
Sorry, sir. I just want to say, you fight bravely, and I'm gonna fight just as brave as you.
Well, hopefully we won't have to do too much fighting at all, son. What do you have to say?
Oh, that was pretty much it.
All right.
And he gives you the...
He'll save you, kid.
Shield save you, sir. He gives you the Findaran salute. And he goes off with the rest of the privates. And you... what time would you say that you guys have planned this operation?
Probably like early in the morning, or well, depending, whichever way that we're facing, so that the sun is pointing at the island from the sea. So whether that's early in the morning or like at dusk.
Probably dusk then.
Okay.
You guys are making footfall. You guys are in formation, and everything is going all according to plan so far. You understand from your assignment that it possibly might not be easy. This is a fortified island after all, with a lot of strategic advantage to it that you've been told. And as you continue to make your way into the settlement, I want you to go ahead and... I'll leave it up to you. Go ahead and make either a perception check or an insight check.
Perception. Ooh,
10. It's dusk. It's getting it's a little hard to see, but you do see, or rather, what you don't see is fortifications. I mean, when you guys made landfall, there were some minor, there were some wooden spikes that seemed to be kind of hastily formed and not well placed. Almost like if they were just focusing on putting them up rather than where to put them. And you start to hear calls from the interior of the settlement, and the groups that are approaching you, there's no armor, there's no blades. What you're seeing is groups of villagers. Most of them have patchwork clothing, and what weapons they have seem to be mostly farming equipment. And one of the other lieutenants is like, these are civilians. Where are the soldiers at? What is happening here?
Are we towards the front of the soldiers, or are we at the back?
Where do you think you would have placed yourselves?
I think at the front.
You guys are at the front.
The...
You hear these villagers start shouting and like brandishing their implements, not ready to like assault you guys, but it looks like they're prepared to defend themselves. Fissure, confusion and hesitation is very rapidly bleeding into your ranks.
I will look over to. Oh, where is this? I will look over to Dalos, the half-orc, other Kraken lieutenant, and I will say, keep the men in line. Give us a second, and I'll pull the other lieutenant with me, and we'll approach the ranks of of villagers. I'm gonna put my swords away.
As you start approaching, you hear one of them go, "Stay back! Stay back! Don't come any closer!"
Who's in charge here? I'm gonna keep walking for him.
You see an older man, like, very well hunched over, wrinkly skin, has a straw hat that he's wearing, and he doesn't have any implements, possibly because, like, he wouldn't make much of a fighter right now. He's like, "I suppose that would be me. I'm this here village's elder. Now, what business do you have to bring all these armored goons onto our island? Are you pirates or such? Wear such fancy uniforms?"
No, sir, we're not pirates. We are the Fendaran naval force. And I look, there are like fortifications and stuff here, right? Like besides just the sticks and stuff, like there's like a fort here.
You see the biggest structure in the settlement looks to be a barn.
Now, sir, I do apologize. I believe our information might be wrong. This is not a Trithorian stronghold.
Well, we are, I suppose we are technically Trithorian citizens, but if you were told about some sort of stronghold, I mean, strongest structure we have is the barn where we keep the livestock. What little we have left, I guess.
Well, sir, then, as the ranking member of the Fendaran military, do you surrender to the Fendaran military?
Are you gonna kill us if I refuse? Bunch of...
I would certainly not like to, and neither would either of my other betters.
Well, if you'd kindly leave the island afterwards, yes.
Well,
Consider this your military victory.
Thank you, sir. I go to shake his hand.
He looks at your hand and he does not shake it.
All right. And then I walk back to Dalos. Find a man, send back to the ships. We have.
You actually have your officer's sending stone on you.
What's the name of the ship that we're on?
The name of your ship, the FMS Steelhead.
Steelhead. This is Cracker and Fisher. We have taken control of the island. There were no fighters here, not any sort of fortress or stronghold like the information was told, but the leaders have surrendered.
There is a long pause before you get a response back. And that response fills your veins with ice water, because the only thing that you get back is simply continue the attack, raise the settlement. What did they say? What are we supposed to do with these villagers?
They said to continue the attack and raise the settlement.
Raise the settlement? These are farmers, Fisher. What are we doing?
No, we're not. Command, why would we continue to do that? They surrendered the village.
You get about halfway through that sentence, before everything is drowned out with the distant sound of explosions, cannon fire. The scene around you turns into hell as after a short delay, those cannonballs start to pepper the island that you are on with your troops, including the villagers. You can't really remember how long the bombardment was. Could have been hours, could have been minutes. It was crazy. But you remember that when it was finished, Vendara had achieved its victory. And you are looking down now. It definitely did not take very long. The sun hasn't fully set yet, but the area around you is destroyed. There are cries for help, wounded everywhere. A lot of them are your men. But a lot more are the villagers. Fisher, you look down as you're totaling up the damage. You see face of an orc permanently twisted into a scowl, looking back up at you from the sand, dead. You continue looking, and you find young Billy Boylan. Half of him, at least, you find. And while you do this, you are absently tracing part of your tattoo until the two other lieutenants come over at this point and begin to remove these two bodies, being incredibly delicate. And they do not regard you in this moment. And the lieutenants silently organize their fallen. Maybe you move to help, but you are largely ignored. And all you... I mean, what does Fisher think about in this moment?
This is immediately after the attack, or this is a little while later?
It's a little while later.
Then Fisher is not really thinking at all. He's just kind of completely... Like, I think every single thing that he has thought up until this moment was wrong. And he doesn't know what to do.
And as you think of you don't know what to do, you hear the sounds of a smaller vessel hitting the sand, and you hear footsteps from the sand of maybe like 3 people. And we cut away a long time after that, much later, within the slums of the Maw, known as the Dredge Quarters. Spend a lot of time drinking to numb yourself as you kind of float around the district like a ghost. And after a while, you come across somebody else in the Dredge Quarters. Somebody you're not probably quite familiar with yet. You don't really have there's not a lot happening for haven't made a lot of connections yet, but you hear somebody from behind you. You look a little lost. I suppose most people in the Dredge Quarters are awful lost, but you seem a little particularly more lost than others. And you see, you see a elderly, kind of disheveled-looking female Triton. She wears very modest patchwork clothing. Seems to be possibly the only clothing that she owns, and she's just endlessly trying to keep it from states of disrepair. Ah, well, if you're lost, I always say the best cure for being lost in the Dredge Quarters is, well, going and helping other lost folk. My name's Musty Mary. It's a pleasure to meet you. And yes, that is because of the smell of my clothes.
I weren't gonna say nothing, but
That's all right. You can say it. It's true.
well, I'm Fisher.
Fisher, it's nice to meet you.
Do you know anyone that need help?
And she gestures widely. All of us could use some help, but if you stick with me, I can point you in the right direction.
Kind of fall in line with her.
And you you are taken under Mary's wing, and she brings you around to the citizens of the Dredge Quarters. Start learning names, start getting comfortable with people, start patrolling the streets like it's your own backyard, and ensure the safety of its citizens. And eventually, several of the denizens make a bid to get you a job, like a job where the docks are. Yeah, bilge plank, and
That's where we meet.
that's
Fucking
where
Mac, get over here.
and we cut back to the present.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry, I got so excited. See, if we would have had this up already, we would have seen the wave coming and we wouldn't have gotten splashed. Ha!
It's not how it works.
Fine! I throw my carpenter tools down and I pick up a really gross looking scraper thing and I just go stand over the edge and I scrape it, looking at it bad.
As this argument continues, there's one crew member maybe not focused on the conversation at hand, but looking up into the skies above. Elle, could you go ahead and describe Rin for us?
Sure. Rin is a humanoid, human-looking female with soft features. She has 2 different colored eyes, with her right eye being green and her left eye being this bright sky blue. Her skin is fair and warm, and she has long silver blonde hair with a few tight braids across the top, and one braid down the side that actually turns blue as it gets down. And then she wears a blue-green crystal around her neck, worn, very obviously used like black armor that comes up kind of high along her neck as well. It fits her fine enough, but you can tell it was worn and that it was secondhand. It doesn't go quite all the way down her wrists. And you can see stars tattooed along either side, covering up. If you look closely, you can see some scars there. She, although hidden, she has a mark that she's kind of feeling as she stares up on to the sky. She has a mark on her neck, a little IA. And yeah, that would be Rin.
And as Rin grazes that brand of hers that she received long, long ago, you go back to a memory of a time when you were much, much younger. And we cut to a place where the terrain is arid, rocky, dry. The beaches of this place harbor extremely little vegetation, save for mostly just moss that clings to the rocks along the shore. And even then, it's not a lot. Here on this barren island, looking up into the sky in wonder, is an adolescent Rin. As your gaze fixes on the scenery of the night sky, you see very gradually that the clouds disperse, and the stars come out and shine with a brightness that is neither overwhelming or oppressive, but radiant, almost eminent. Maybe even a message. For most people, I mean, the stars in the sky appear stationary. To you, Rin, they are full of life and movement. Almost as much as the creatures of the sea or the people around you. And every time you glimpse upon them in the sky, you feel some sort of connection, almost as if the stars want to speak with you. we fast forward a little bit more through time to a small sheltered grove, which is a very generous term considering the terrain that you find yourself here. No more than just a spit where grass got the good fortune to grow. And we see a Rin that's a little bit older now, along with her mother. What does Rin's mother look like?
Her mother has somewhat sharper features than Rin. Eris stands tall and imposing, and like Rin, they both have at this time they both have very roughly shaven heads, and you can clearly see the IA on the base of both their necks. Very sharp features. Unlike Rin, Eris has very strong green eyes. Otherwise, they look pretty similar.
And as you sit in this grove with Eris, she begins to start plucking very, not delicately, but not just like ripping it out, just kind of almost surgically removing some blades of grass from this grove. Yes, the basics of druid craft lie not just in this grass, but also in the sand and the rock around us. Nature is a force comprised of many different actors. And Rin, as she's kind of educating you on this, it's very apparent to you that she's not... she's speaking very mechanically about druidcraft, which is strange for a druid to be doing. There's no sort of reverence to nature. There's no sort of... It's almost like somebody trying to teach druidcraft the way like a wizard would learn arcana. Like it's what she knows mechanically. And she takes the blade of grass and produces a very small bloom. Nothing very beautiful or majestic, but just something very vegetative.
Mm-hmm.
This power of nature can be something strong, but it can also be something dangerous. And that's the first step that I need you to know if you're going to be learning this sort of thing. Do you understand me?
Yes, Mother.
And you spend a couple hours learning the forgive the pun, roots of druidcraft from your mom. Anyway, after some time passes, you hear footsteps and approaching. You are a little hidden here, but you hear approaching are members of the Iron Ashes. Like, I haven't seen him around, have you? Can't rightly say that I have, but not easy for them to go running off now, I. And you see your mom put a finger up to her mouth, and then she stands up, definitely a tall woman, you could say, but carries herself even that much more taller, especially considering her position. And she reveals herself from out of the grove, her hands raised in surrender. They're like, well, having a little, nightly camp out, are we? And Eris says, looking kind of like tilting her head a little bit back, not to look all the way at you, but so you know that she is not just talking to them, but talking to you too. She says, I felt the call to practice my druid craft. Nature called to me, the stars called to me, and I needed to heed that call. And the patrollers go, "Oh, you're heeding a call. Well, I think there are some more important rules and regulations to maybe heed the call for, if you catch my drift. But don't worry, we'll help you remember." And your mom goes off with the patrollers, presumably to face punishment for using her magic.
I stealth back to our quarters.
We cut away again, and Rin, you are now lying awake and fraught with energy, because tonight's the night. The night that the stars told you that this was the night to free yourself. And as you're sitting in the boat present day thinking about this, your memory fogs over a lot of the specifics of the evening. Something you do remember is the strange and enveloping darkness, followed by your vision blurring while you are kind of hyper fixated on moving closer to the simple rowboat. You force your withered body to push off and row as hard as you can manage, for as long as you can, going out into the open waters until you fall into unconsciousness upon this small vessel. And as your unconsciousness settles in, you can only think of one thing as you drift off. An amulet with a simple stone and a long, long dream of the vast open waters. And the next time you regain consciousness, you are picked up by a pirate ship. Not this pirate ship, but a different one. And Rin kind of does a double take as she's looking back out into the starry sky again, back in present time. Who's it gonna be? And as we cut away from Rin, we turn our attention now to an individual who seems to be almost single-handedly weighing down the vessel slightly, due to the sheer weight of the shell on his back. Alex, could you go ahead and describe Kree for us? And what is he up to on the ship right now?
So you see, I would say, with that note, the ship seems to be leaning more to one side, as he's standing at the edge, just peering off into the distance, just contemplating. You see dark green skin, green gray shell, not too flat, not too rounded, just, it's there. Staff in one hand, gray cloak with like sea life colors kind of draped throughout. The staff itself is just covered, the top, a big kind of bulb, dead gray corals seem to be just kind of like attached to the staff, and he's just staring off. Seems to be looking for something.
And Kree, as you stare off, you find yourself looking into the water below you to your side, being cleaved by the bow of the ship. And the water somehow stops being rough to your perception. It becomes strangely gentle, almost as if you're looking into a reflection pool. And time seems to stand still as you look down into your reflection and suddenly become lost within your own mind. And you find yourself back on the island that you called home. Back before a storm swept you away all that time ago. But things are different somehow. Strange. Definitely different than what you remember. You walk around the island as if in a fog. And you're looking at all of these people that you should remember, but you can't seem to remember their faces as well as you used to. In fact, you're starting to look closer, and it's not because you can't remember them, but the people on this island don't seem to have faces. Their faces are blurred, almost as if it's being blocked from your memory somehow. And as you wander the island, you hear a familiar voice in your head. That of the old ship captain. Arr! Found yourself back in your old stomping grounds, have ye?
It appears so. But
Well, I mean, you're looking like you're searching for something.
isn't that what I'm to do?
Aye, it sure is. It sure is. But are you certain it's on this island? The captain's voice continues as you continues to speak inside of your head as you walk, until you eventually come up to a part of the island that you don't recognize. And again, a lot of this island feels so much different and strange to you than what you remember. You don't have a lot of really salient memories, but this seems truly alien to you. This part of the island seems lifeless and black. There's this gray miasma that seems to coat the air, and for a second you go to cover your mouth to prevent it from entering your system, but it doesn't feel like you have any difficulty breathing this. And eventually you come across what looks like a decrepit-looking headstone. And upon this headstone, although it's very badly weathered, you can see the relief of. Well, go ahead and roll a religion check for me, actually.
Religion check. Got it. Oh, what dice do I want? Oh, with the metal.
What dice to pick?
The ones that
18.
19. It's a very weathered relief depicting Nespira, the goddess of water and life. The face is cracked and discolored, but it is very prominent on this headstone. In fact, you see no name written on this headstone. You just see this relief and an empty grave, an open grave. No. That seems awfully convenient, doesn't it? Could be some in there. But only one way to find out, isn't there?
I'd take one step.
You fall into this grave, and you don't find dirt below. In fact, you continue to fall. And fall. And fall until you find your lungs filling up with salt water as you open your eyes in a vast, dark ocean. Although you can still breathe. You're not suffocating right now. And as you're kind of adjusting your eyes to being in the water, just go ahead and make me a perception check.
Seven.
The water is much too dark for you to make out anything of real note here. But eventually you make your way back up to the surface, and you find yourself back on the same deserted island where you first met the old captain, and you see him again. This man could be anywhere between 40 and 70, but he looks healthy for whatever age he appears. His beard is black, but he keeps it short cropped close to his face. And you see a scar that goes down to the middle of his eyebrow, kind of goes around his eye and ends on his cheek. He wears a captain's coat. It looks almost military, but there doesn't seem to be any like regalia or insignia or anything to denote what military it might come from. It might not even be from a military that you are familiar with. And he is sitting on just a stump by a fire, and he's like, "You seem to be going after guppies and not the big fish as you're going across your travels with these. I suppose you could call this a crew, although crew of 6 seems awfully small, doesn't it?"
It does give less of a suspicion, if you will.
Aye, that it does. But what it doesn't give you is the means to catch those big fish. And as he continues to talk, the landscape around you two begins to change and shuffle rapidly between several different biomes, and then repeating and shuffling and repeating and shuffling. In 1 second, you're in a dense, rich forest, an endless expanse. These trees are truly like like deific to you. Like you haven't even like really seen many trees to begin with. These trees are literally tower over buildings. Another scene. You see an endless expanse of walls and fortresses. Another scene. A decrepit and fog-filled terrain. A frozen. The next, a frozen cavern. The next, burning magma. An expanse of burning magma. These scenes are like ticketing through, and you are perceiving them in like short increments, and they just seem to be going by in the blink of an eye. Well, I suppose you've picked your crew, but just remember that treasure is still out there, and I think it best you get to it before other people claim the bounty. And these continue to flash faster and faster and faster until it is all white, and then like a camera flash, darkness, and you open your eyes, jolting yourself awake. You appear to have gone into a trance without you knowing. And you look back down, and the water is normal again.
I look down at the right forearm, at the tattoo of the compass that appeared after my first meeting with this captain. Just look at it. Look up at my staff. Say a little cantation, and the grays of the corals become a little bit more pinkish and color, just ever so slightly, regain some of their colors, and then just go back to viewing the horizon.
Hell yeah, right on. And with that, we find ourselves focusing our attention on the last member of our humble crew here. One probably paler than the rest.
Certainly paler than the rest.
Objectively paler than the rest. A young Shatterkai, who seems to be in possession of two eclectic-looking dolls. And Isaac, go ahead and describe Izal to us.
Sure. Izal is probably on the rigging right now, just sort of up there polishing his rapier, sort of being aloof. He doesn't really have a job on the ship right now except for just be a crew member. So just passing the time. Izal is about 5'9" ish. No slouch whatsoever. Wears perfect posture. They wear their hair pulled back into a very loose bun. Skin pale as sheet ice. Very distinctive facial tattoos, some black, some purple, some yellow. Eyes also different colors. One is purple, one's yellow, heterochrome. He also wears a very long purple cloak with a heavy black shawl over it. As you said, there's the two dolls that are always at my side, and a big heavy tome that I'm wearing on my back.
And Izal, as the waves splash against the hull of this of the ship, it feels rhythmic to you, and the sound of the waves crashing against the boat begin to fade out and go silent as the sounds of music and entertainment and applause begin to swell in your mind as you think back to fragments of your past, clutching tightly to the dolls that you remember.
Better times.
Better times for sure. What's a... This will be a good one. Yeah. Festive upbeat. Because we cut back to an even younger Izal, watching from a distance as one of his fathers, Bren, danced upon the cobblestone streets of one of the cities in Trithoris. The performance was incredible. What few audience members you have enjoyed it so much. Especially as the performance shifted seamlessly between different performers of the troupe that Izal had found himself adopted into. The web strung low. A traveling troupe of entertainers of all sorts of variety and application. The young elf watched with wide eyes as they saw from a distance the expressions of the small audience that gathered, heard their cheers and elations as they became entranced with performance after performance. A performative struggle against the status quo of the continent, so obsessed with wealth and commodity. If you'd like to, you can go ahead and describe to us what this troupe looks like and how they go about their performances.
Sure. Henrik, one of my fathers who you were describing, dances around, carrying a ribbon around that makes it look like water comes alive. And that's not unintentional, as there's also some another wizard slightly off to the side, Jewel, or Bren is the father who's dancing. Henrik's off to the side with a little bit of magic, making the ribbon flow from just looking like water to seemingly becoming a whirlwind and a whirl wave. Just beautiful sight to behold. And as they dance from one another, holding each other in their arms, spins off, and on comes another member of the troupe, an elf, purple hair flowing down from their face, round green eyes. Another wizard creates the illusion of this magnificent phoenix roaring up from the ashes. The crowd erupts into a volley of cheers as it goes on.
Enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
Another one pipes up. That was a really good performance. I am not that smart, so I don't kind of know what the vibe was, but I enjoyed it.
You get a halfling who eventually comes out after the spectacle rolls down, and greasy hair, does a fantastic type 5 about how the government here is corrupt and shit. Enough so that maybe even some of the not smarter people in the crowd can get it.
Oh, now I get it!
And it all comes together with this almost seemingly like impromptu tight wire act. Magical strings are placed all around the street that they're on, and you see various dancers of the troupe, including Bren, flying from rope to rope, from string to string, before eventually it probably will get disbanded by the city guard, because you know.
But the audience, nonetheless, enjoying your performances, and so the troupe continued to perform and perform and perform some more. Each time gaining more of a following and very incrementally more money to be able to provide for themselves. And each night following the performance, Izal would have a warmth within him. As they nestled close to Bren and your other father, Henrik, provide you with enough food to warm and fill your belly, sometimes foregoing food themselves. As Henrik duteously taught you matters of the arcane, Bren entertained both of you by acting out scenes from an adventuring book that you absorbed in earnest. And eventually, you were able to watch your troupe/family perform from the rafters of a proper auditorium. One of the larger ones in the capital of Trothoris, Mercantile. In front of a proper audience. A actual, like, not just people going about their day, but people that came to see you guys? Your
Remarkable.
performance was widely well received. And all of your troupe family goes out to bow to the audience and introduce the main entertainment for tonight. The greatest actor, artist extraordinaire that Trothoris has ever had the glory of witnessing. The White Rabbit himself, Alex Cohen! And Izal, you hear this great bombastic introduction, and you see a man come out from behind the curtains, bringing himself in front of your troupe, center stage. A man that is in an immaculate, crisp tuxedo. For starters, just no check necessary. This tuxedo is probably cost more than what the troupe has made in 5 years or would make in 10 years. It's very expensive.
I've been very excited to see this act ever since I learned that we were opening for Alex Cohen. I've been just every day I've been like, Bren, tell me everything. Bren.
Yes, this
Henrik, come on.
very shiny black tuxedo, a crisp white undershirt, with a crimson velvety red bow tie, and an ostentatious corsage that looks like it is a actually go ahead and you can go ahead and roll nature for me if you want. And actually, I'll say you can do this with advantage.
I need it. That's much better. 14.
14. That flower bears a very striking resemblance to one of the adventuring books that Bren would act out for you. And it is one that is from a land that is very hard to get to, and a land that is even harder to take things like this out of. This is a flower that comes from the Elven Conclave, notoriously isolationist, and not too keen on doing trade with outer parties. And you see that he has taken this thing. It looks like, in real world terms, it looks almost like a star lily. But he seems to have either done himself or gotten somebody to completely gild it in gold. It is fully coated in gold. The flower is definitely not being properly respected, and now just looks very gaudy, but it also looks very elegant. And he is wearing a mask, but you can see the back of his head somewhat, and his hair is this slick black color. Seems to be he has some pomade or some grease in it, and it's very, very neatly trimmed and styled. And upon his face, he wears the mask of the White Rabbit, which is the act that everybody has come to see. And as everybody starts applauding, and even Alex motions for the audience to applaud your troupe, you think that perhaps this is the first signs that your fortunes are turning around.
Very excited.
Well, that's not the one I wanted. We cut away, and this thought turned into nothing but a pipe dream. As not long after, the Web Strung Low was disbanded. First it was, is it pronounced Akin?
Yeah.
First to go was Akin, a stagehand that was a consummate professional. Very proud of his work behind the scenes. The next that departed the troupe, Art, which Henrik took poorly. And when I say departed, I mean it in every sense of the word. Akin and Art, both dead under very mysterious, suspicious circumstances. Murder, perhaps likely, but based on the content of the troops' performances, the any sort of law enforcement did not put their investigations high on the priority list, we'd say. But try as they might, the troupe could not really figure out how these deaths occurred. But it was clear what was happening in the eyes of Bren and Henrik. And for everybody's safety, the troupe disbanded, and Izal was whisked away to live a life of relative safety, but most important, obscurity on the island settlement of Karnath. And we cut away again. About a year passes. And the small family has found a semblance of normalcy eked out on Karnath in their small, kind of decrepit cottage. Maybe not decrepit, but it's not the nicest out there. And one fateful evening, a soft knock is heard at the door of their cottage. Izal, you wake up from your sleep to the sound of scuffle in the main living area of your cottage. You creep up to your door and peek out and see the scene laid before you. And can you go ahead and have... I would like you to describe Gret to me. The woman that is about to be entwined with your life very significantly.
The thing I remember most about Gret is her silhouette. It was unlike any human form I'd seen before. Almost as if it wasn't from this world, if that makes sense. Her eyes could clearly be seen from the darkness that was her face. These piercing red eyes could clearly be seen. And a boiling face of flesh mounds that could almost be described as nose, cheeks. It certainly not easy to look at.
Oh.
Unfortunately, like a train wreck, though, it's impossible to look away from something like that as well, as you're trying to soak in every detail that you can't make sense of. Hair in places where there shouldn't be hair. Skin where there shouldn't be skin. And a voice that would make you shudder. That's what I remember of what she looked like.
And as you peer out through a crack in your door, you see it happen. First of all, you see things are scattered around. It looks like fighting has already broken out between your fathers and Gret. She almost seems kind of like stooped and hunched over, like almost like a snarling animal. And your fathers are next to each other, kind of supporting themselves. Not terribly injured, but mostly for support rather than anything. And then you see Gret start to mouth something. Something arcane, incantations. And you're stunned, not from her spell, but just from the scene before you, as she reels out her hands. Tendrils of black, arcane, eldritch, you're not sure, some black energy emanates from her hands and strikes your fathers. The entire room fills with shadows for several moments before fading away. And Izal, you look at where your fathers were standing, and you don't see them anymore. You're looking around. Did they reposition? Did they perhaps a spell was cast? Perhaps they're invisible. And then you look down to where their feet were, and you see two small dolls bearing the exact likeness of your fathers. And you remain there stunned for a long time, not fully able to process what's going on and what you just saw. And you see Gret freaks her head at an inhuman angle to look at the crack in your door. And you see her mouth something that you can't really recall. And then departs. And you feel finally that your knees give out and you fall to your knees, but you are able to move again.
I crawl out of the hut and make my way towards the two dolls. And just hold them as my mind reels. I'm a young adult at this point. Still nothing makes sense in this moment. I probably stay like that for another few hours.
You stay like that, embracing these dolls, effigies of your fathers for hours. And there's nothing in this cottage to find but silence, loneliness. And you spend a little bit more time until your eyes are red and hurt from crying, your body trembling, but knowing that Karnath wasn't the safest place in the world, but it was safe because your fathers could keep you safe. And you think that this cottage that you've lived in with your fathers, the two who plucked you from the street, ones that cared for you, taught you the craft, loved you with all their hearts, would tell you time to leave the cottage and time to find another place, hopefully safer than this one.
That's what they would say. But screw that. I'm gonna make a plan. At my journal, I find the book that my father Henrik gave to me. And I start writing down everything I know about this place. I try to remember the names of everybody I knew. In fact, from this web strung low, they were magical people. They were smart people. Someone must be somewhere, and I can find them. And the people from the nearby settlements, they might know something about this creature, what their name is, anything about them. If I can... This is no time for safety. I'm going to get them back. I'm gonna get them.
And Hizal, you take your book, take your dolls, take
my father's rapier.
Take your father's rapier, yes, and whatever other supplies that you can bring with you, and you forego looking for safety, and instead you seek out answers. And eventually, your travels take you to the Maw, a pirate city, a place where people from all over Corsaria come and go, explore islands, perform jobs, and share stories, but stories that might contain the information you need.
Somebody somewhere's got to know something.
And we return back to the present as rain begins to appear from the sky. The clouds growing dark, but not too tumultuous, which is good because, Fisher, you are aware that you are approaching your destination. In fact, you can see it coming into view now. You should be there in maybe an hour or two. This island you know as Bog Reef. It's a very swampy, humid, almost tropical island. And the reason why all of you happen to be going here is they needed a crew that they could afford to have lost if they were to get lost. Hence the ship, hence the small crew. Because a different pirate crew was sailing around Bog Reef about a month ago, and they have not been seen in that entire time. So they needed somebody to go investigate, promising if you came back with evidence one way or the other, pretty hefty reward. Something that all of you could use to, at the very least, have, food in your belly and a warm place to sleep for a while.
Was the other crew, looking for something? Did they have a goal in coming here, or were they just passing by?
They were just passing by. They had no intention to come here.
And the they is the authority on the Maw?
No, this is so it's not one of the top pirate crews, but it is a pirate crew who had a significant cargo.
I'm curious who put us on this job.
It was somebody. It wasn't direct orders. It was. You probably can assume that it's not coming right from the top, not coming from the Pirate King himself. Possibly one of the more elite pirates could have requested this job, but more than likely it comes from one of Jameson's underlings, somebody from Jameson's crew. They don't do much sailing themselves. They mostly tend to business of the Maw, but they have to ensure that, they have to make sure everything's going smoothly. And if more pirate ships go missing, that becomes a problem.
And Eildon was probably the one who like directly gave it to us.
Yeah, Yilden probably passed the word on to Fisher that they were looking for a crew that would be willing to take a well-loved ship and go check it out.
Once it comes into view, I kind of give Mac a little smack on the back and point it out and say, "See, you don't need no crow's nest or whatever. You see that right there? There you go. Land a hoe."
We got our first one of the campaign, ladies and gentlemen.
Isn't it Land Ahoy?
No, it's just Land a hoe.
All right, Captain.
I'm
Is
not-
anyone else standing near me? I just need to know that. Where is everyone on the boat right now?
There's not really. This boat isn't particularly large enough for you to have like be off on your business. So everybody's pretty like more or less pretty close, except for maybe Fisher at the helm.
Okay.
Like a cannon standing around the prow of the ship, if I got that right, kind of near where the police is, just kind of fiddling with his doohickey.
Yeah, you got it.
We love a good doohickey.
Click, click, click.
As we start to get closer, can I take the ship like kind of around the island, and like see if we can maybe see another ship? Like,
Go ahead and make me a perception check for me, if you would be so kind.
Ooh. 18.
You start to veer to start to circle around the island, and you see kind of on the southeast part of the island, you see a little I guess a little like alcove. Alcove, thank you. It's kind of protected by these like really dense jungle trees, but you do see a decent spit of land, and you see a ship. Seems to be what'd you get with your perception? Sorry.
18.
With an 18, you begin to get close, and with that 18 perception, you notice, most importantly, that it is not moored. There's no mooring equipment to indicate that they have like tied it off. It seems beached right now.
Beach. Okay, so it's not just kind of floating in the bay.
Beached. Yep.
Okay.
Which is interesting as you continue to get even closer and notice loose mooring equipment off to the side of the ship.
Is there any sort of like dock or structure around here?
Oh, absolutely not. Your best bet would probably be to get closer to the island and drop anchor, and then probably hope the other ship has a rowboat for you to take.
How, like, I'm assuming this ship is larger than ours.
Yes.
Okay. What do y'all think?
Well, I could swim over there if you want. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty good at swimming.
came to investigate, so we should investigate.
Might as well.
And you travel closer and get close enough to where you can safely drop anchor, even kind of get a little bit closer than what you probably need, just so most of you don't have to actively swim through the water. You get close enough to where hopping off your boat, you're probably comes up to most everybody's like kneecaps.
Okay, I'm gonna throw some ropes over. Try to tie our boat to their boat.
Yeah, go ahead and we'll call this a let's call this a sleight of hand with advantage.
Okay.
I would. Rin also kind of just reaches her hand out and casts guidance on him as well.
Oh, fuck it. 21.
21. Do you have the
You
add the D4 to that with guidance?
I didn't even do that. Hold on. Let me do better. 20.
I mean, oh, these ropes are tightly secured to the other ship. They're not going like storm, weather, like nothing's gonna shake these off right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you all make footfall on Bog Reef, and you look into this dense, jungly area. Not sure what awaits you, but I mean, one way to find out. And that's where we'll end session 1.